Dawn breaks over the St. Lawrence River, September 13, 1759. British soldiers cling to cliffsides in darkness, boots scraping stone. One slip means death. Above them, an empire waits, unaware that history pivots on this single morning's impossible gamble. You've heard of Waterloo, Gettysburg. Yet few Americans know the cliff that birthed their nation. Before independence was imagined, colonial soldiers climbed toward a fortress, determining whether you'd speak English or French today. This morning changed everything you inherit. Remember this cliff. Major General James Wolfe lies awake in his cabin, 32 years old, dying of tuberculosis, racked by kidney stones. 3 months of failed siege attempts behind him. Tonight, he chooses the impossible. Scale cliffs the French believe unclimbable. Victory or burial await at dawn. Across the river, Marquis de Montcalm sleeps peacefully. Scouts reported British ships moving upriver, but he dismissed the threat. The cliffs are 200 feet of sheer rock face. No army could ascend them. His confidence tonight will cost him everything by noon tomorrow. Hundreds of American colonials from Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York join Wolfe's army. They fight for a distant king, for promised land, for glory. They don't know this victory will make them bold enough to challenge that same king 16 years hence. Seeds planted tonight. This is the 7 Years' War, humanity's first global conflict. 3 continents burn. 5 European powers clash. In North America, 2 empires wrestle for a wilderness larger than Europe itself. Tonight's gamble decides who inherits a continent. Everything hinges on darkness and audacity. Picture Quebec from the river. Stone ramparts crowning limestone cliffs, the citadel glowering over the narrows. For 3 months, British cannons have thundered uselessly against these walls. Montcalm's 14,000 soldiers mock the besiegers, yet every fortress has one fatal weakness, one unguarded path. A French deserter whispers secrets to British officers. A narrow track winds up the cliff at Anse-au-Foulon, barely guarded. Montcalm believes it too steep, too exposed. Wolfe seizes this intelligence like a drowning man clutches driftwood. At midnight, 4,800 men enter flatboats. I crouch in the lead boat, oars wrapped in cloth. My name is Israel Putnam, ranger captain from Connecticut. My heart hammers against my ribs. I've survived frontier ambushes, fought at Lake George. Nothing prepared me for this. Cliffs loom like cathedral walls. Impossible. Suicidal. We glide forward anyway. Wolfe recites poetry as boats slip past French sentries in darkness. The paths of glory lead but to the grave, he murmurs Gray's elegy. His officers recognize the poem, wonder if he speaks his own epitaph. Perhaps. Death has shadowed him for months. Tonight, he embraces it willingly. A French sentry challenges from the clifftop. Qui vive? A Scottish officer, fluent in French, shouts back, France! Provision convoy from Montreal. The lie holds perfectly. Sentries wave them onward. One deception, perfectly executed, breaches an empire's defenses. Sometimes history turns on a single voice in darkness. 400 light infantry reach the cliff base at Anse-au-Foulon. Captain William Delaune studies the rock face. 200 vertical feet, tree roots, loose stone, mud. He whispers to his men, climb or die trying. They haul themselves upward, fingers bleeding, muskets slung across backs. No turning back. Halfway up, a soldier's boot dislodges a stone. It tumbles down, crashing through branches. The climbers freeze, hearts pounding. Above, a French guard calls out. Delaune's breath stops. Then, nothing. The guard assumes it's an animal. Climbing resumes. Fate grants this one careless sentry. History pivots on inattention. Delaune reaches the summit first. A French picket of 40 men blocks the path ahead. His light and infantry surge forward with bayonets before the enemy can fire their muskets. Swift, brutal, silent killing in pre-dawn darkness. The picket falls. The path to the Plains of Abraham lies open. An empire's back door swings wide. By dawn's first light, Wolfe's entire army stands atop the cliffs, impossibly. 4,800 British regulars and American colonials form battle lines on the Plains of Abraham, a farmer's field outside Quebec's western walls. Drummers beat Reveille, the impossible achieved. Now comes the reckoning. Montcalm will respond with fury. Inside Quebec, citizens wake to drum beats from the wrong direction entirely. Panic spreads like wildfire. The British are behind us. Women clutch children close. Soldiers scramble for weapons. Montcalm refuses to believe initial reports. Impossible. A nightmare. Then he rides to the walls, sees red-coated ranks gleaming. His face goes white. Understand Montcalm's impossible dilemma. Wait for reinforcements from Montreal 3 days away and let the British entrench? Or attack immediately with inferior numbers? Every instinct screams caution. But pride, honor, fear of British artillery demand action. He chooses assault. The choice dooms New France. One decision. Everything lost. French-Canadian militia officer Joseph Trahan watches Montcalm organize the hasty attack. We should wait? Trahan mutters to his sergeant. Let them come to our walls. But Montcalm is a European general fighting a European battle. He doesn't understand frontier warfare, doesn't trust Canadian irregulars. Orders them to the flanks. Only regulars matter today. Montcalm assembles 4,500 men hastily. No time for proper formation. Some units still haven't arrived from distant posts along the river. His soldiers are exhausted from 3 months of siege, half-starved from supply shortages. Yet they march bravely. White uniforms against red. Old world doctrine meeting new world desperation. Drums thunder, ominously. Wolfe paces before his scarlet ranks. He has dreamed of glory his entire short, sickly life. Bullied youth, now commanding an army facing France's finest soldiers. He orders his men, wait until they're 40 paces away, then fire. Discipline will triumph over numbers. British volleys will shatter French courage. He stakes everything on this calculation. I stand in the British line, musket heavy, hands trembling. Massachusetts militia, 20 years old, first real battle ahead. The French advance like a white wave rolling toward us. Drums pound. Sergeant barks, "Steady, lads, wait for the word." 40 paces seems impossibly close. Why don't we fire? They'll reach us. The French fire first at 60 paces. Too far for accuracy. Most musket balls fall short or fly high over British heads. Smoke obscures the field temporarily. Montcalm's men reload while advancing, losing formation discipline. They expect the British to break, to run like other European armies. But Wolfe's men don't move. They wait. Silent. Terrifying. 30 paces now. My finger trembles on the trigger. French faces visible now, young men like me. Old soldiers with scarred faces. Officers waving swords frantically. The scarlet line holds its breath collectively. Someone coughs. Somewhere a man prays desperately. Then Wolfe's voice cuts the morning air. Fire! The world explodes in thunder and smoke. 1,500 muskets discharge simultaneously. The volley sounds like God tearing canvas apart. The front French rank disintegrates completely. Men crumble, scream, clutch shattered limbs. Before smoke clears, British soldiers reload with mechanical precision honed by decades. Second rank fires. Third rank. French advance stops dead. White uniforms carpet blood-stained grass thickly. Montcalm's horse is shot from under him. He remounts another, rallies his men, urges them forward desperately. But British volleys are inhuman in their devastating efficiency. No European army fires with such speed and accuracy combined. Canadian militia on the flanks flee first, then regular infantry breaks. Montcalm screams orders hoarsely. Nobody listens. Panic spreads. The line collapses. Wolfe orders the charge. I surge forward with thousands, roaring like an animal. American colonials join the pursuit eagerly. I run past bodies, slip in blood, bayonet a fleeing soldier in the back. Guilt and exhilaration churn together violently. This is war. This is horror. This is the moment my generation learns it can conquer empires. A musket ball strikes Wolfe in the wrist. He wraps it quickly, continues forward into the fray. A second ball hits his abdomen painfully. He staggers but advances still. A third ball tears through his chest. He falls. Officers crowd around their dying general. "They run!" someone shouts. Wolfe whispers, "Who runs?" "The French, sir." He smiles. Now, God be praised. As Wolfe bleeds out on the plains, Montcalm retreats toward Quebec's gates desperately. A musket ball rips into his lower abdomen. Mortal wound. He knows immediately. Soldiers carry him through the gates as citizens weep openly. A woman cries, "Oh, the Marquis is killed!" Montcalm replies gently, "It is nothing. Don't worry about me, my good friends." Picture this: two great generals dying within hours of each other, neither knowing the other's fate. Wolfe, 32, achieves glory in death. Montcalm, 47, loses an empire in defeat. History will remember both as heroes. On that September morning, there's simply men bleeding into foreign soil, far from home, wondering if their sacrifices mattered. Montcalm dies at 4 o'clock the next morning, September 14th. His officers bury him hastily in a shell crater beneath the Ursuline Chapel. No coffin available, no ceremony possible. New France's defender sleeps in a bomb-damaged hole. The empire he fought for will vanish within 4 years. His grave remains in Quebec, reminder of empire's fragility. Think, Quebec's capture ended the war instantly? It didn't. French forces still held Montreal and western forts throughout the wilderness. The following spring, they counterattacked fiercely. At Sainte-Foy, French Brigadier François de Lévis crushed the British outside Quebec. Victory seemed possible again. Then British warships arrived with reinforcements. Hope died on the river. Montreal surrenders September 8, 1760, exactly 1 year after Quebec's fall. Lévis demands his soldiers return to France with military honors intact. British General Geoffrey Amherst refuses coldly. Humiliation runs deep. French officers weep openly. Soldiers burn their regimental colors rather than surrender them to the enemy. New France's death throes are bitter, proud, defiant. The Treaty of Paris, signed February 10, 1763, erases French North America completely. France cedes Canada and all lands east of the Mississippi to Britain. Louisiana goes to Spain. An empire that claimed half a continent retains only 2 tiny fishing islands, Saint Pierre and Miquelon. Quebec's fall began this unraveling. One battle, one morning, continental consequences. Here's the twist nobody anticipated. American colonials who fought at Quebec learned they could defeat European armies. Massachusetts farmer soldiers who climbed those cliffs discovered their own strength and capability. British victory planted seeds of colonial confidence, removed the French threat, and Americans no longer needed British protection. Independence became thinkable. Irony cuts deep. Israel Putnam, who commanded Rangers at Quebec, will become a Continental Army general. He'll fight at Bunker Hill, bark the famous order, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes." Those same tactics discipline, close-range volleys learned fighting for Britain, will be used against Britain 16 years hence. History's cruelest irony. Experience teaches rebellion. Consider the Native American perspective carefully. For generations, indigenous nations played French against British, maintaining autonomy through balance of power. Quebec's fall destroys that balance permanently. British become sole European power. Within decades, Native peoples face extinction. Forced removal, cultural genocide. For them, Quebec's capture begins catastrophe, not liberation. Empires change. Suffering continues unabated. French-Canadian inhabitants who farmed near Quebec face new masters. British officials promise religious freedom, French civil law. Promises are kept mostly. But inhabitants watch their children gradually forget French ways, adopt English customs, lose their identity. Cultural survival becomes a century-long struggle. Quebec's capture is not their liberation, but their subjugation. They remember bitterly. Return to the battle's key moment. Wolfe's decision to scale the cliffs. Military historians argue about it still. Brilliant strategy or desperate gamble born of frustration? If French sentries had been more alert, if the climb had taken longer, if Montcalm had waited for reinforcements, everything changes. History pivots on razor-thin margins. Luck favors the bold. Sometimes. Some scholars suggest Wolfe was suicidal, chronically ill, depressed, obsessed with achieving glory. He wore a new uniform into battle, making himself a conspicuous target. Refused to take cover. Advanced under fire recklessly. Did he seek death? Or did dying young preserve his reputation forever? Failed generals are forgotten. Dead heroes live forever. We'll never know his heart. Montcalm's legacy is equally complex and controversial. French-Canadian historians often blame him for the loss entirely. He ignored Canadian militia expertise, scorned irregular frontier warfare, fought a European battle on North American ground. Yet he defended Quebec for 3 months against superior forces. He died bravely. Heroes are complicated. Defeat makes them controversial targets. American, colonial troops comprised about 1/5 of Wolfe's army. Rangers from Massachusetts and Connecticut provided crucial scouting. Carpenters built siege works. Boatmen navigated the treacherous St. Lawrence currents. Their contribution is often erased in British accounts, but they climbed those cliffs. They fired those volleys. They tasted victory. They learned their power. History diminishes their essential role. After the battle, British soldiers looted Quebec mercilessly. Homes ransacked, churches pillaged, women assaulted brutally. Wolfe's death meant no commander to enforce discipline effectively. American colonials participated in the atrocities eagerly. War reveals humanity's darkest impulses. We celebrate the battle's geopolitical significance while ignoring its immediate human cost. History sanitizes. Witnesses remembered horror vividly. Quebec's civilians endured months of bombardment before the battle. British cannons fired from Ile d'Orléans, turning the lower town to rubble. François-Joseph de Vienne wrote in his diary, "The English want to impose their laws on us already." Conquest was brutal, personal, unforgiving. Victory celebrations ignore civilian suffering. Buildings burned. Families died. Nobody commemorates them. Food shortages plagued Quebec during the siege terribly. Marie de la Visitation, an Ursuline nun, recorded, "Famine threatened to reduce us to the last extremity. Upwards of 600 persons partook of our small means of subsistence. The enemy, informed of our destitute condition, was satisfied with battering at our walls. Hunger kills silently. Nobody counts those bodies." The British naval blockade prevented supply ships from reaching Quebec effectively. France sent reinforcements in spring 1759, but British warships intercepted them efficiently. Admiral Durell's squadron controlled the St. Lawrence completely. Sea power determined land campaigns. The battle on the Plains of Abraham was spectacular, but ships strangled New France slowly, inexorably. Navies win empires quietly. Britain's 1759 campaign was massive, coordinated, unprecedented in scope. While Wolfe besieged Quebec, General Geoffrey Amherst advanced via Lake Champlain. General John Prideaux captured Fort Niagara. British forces attacked from 3 directions simultaneously. Quebec was the jewel, but the strategy was continental. Modern warfare required modern logistics. Britain excelled. France couldn't match it effectively. The year 1759 became known in Britain as Annus Mirabilis, the Year of Miracles. Quebec fell in September. British victories in Europe, India, Caribbean followed. Church bells rang across England. Poets celebrated lavishly. The empire was ascendant, powerful, seemingly invincible. Yet this triumph bankrupted Britain's treasury. War debts led to colonial taxation. Taxation led to rebellion. Victory planted defeat's seeds deeply. Think about the soldiers who climbed those cliffs. Farmers from Connecticut. Weavers from Yorkshire. Scottish Highlanders. Recent immigrants. They didn't understand grand strategy or geopolitical implications. They climbed because officers ordered it. They fought because comrades depended on them. Individual courage, not geopolitical vision, won that morning. History is made by ordinary people in extraordinary moments. After Quebec's surrender, British engineers repaired the battered fortifications, preparing for French counterattack. Through winter 1759 to 1760, British soldiers shivered in captured barracks, ate meager rations, died of scurvy. Holding Quebec proved nearly as difficult as capturing it initially. Victory brought no comfort whatsoever, just colder nights, harder duty, waiting anxiously for spring. The Battle of Sainte Foy, fought April 28, 1760, was larger than the Plains of Abraham engagement. French forces, numbering 6,900, attacked British defenders. After fierce fighting, the British retreated behind Quebec's walls. French laid siege. If French warships had arrived first that spring, history changes completely. But British ships came instead. Timing is everything in war. Brigadier James Murray commanded Quebec's British garrison after Wolfe's death. He became the first British governor of Quebec, a position requiring diplomatic finesse. He protected French-Canadian rights, alienating British merchants who demanded harsher policies. Murray understood that governing required different skills than conquering territories. He became unexpectedly sympathetic to his former enemies. Power changes perspectives dramatically. French-Canadian survivors of the battle faced difficult choices: swear allegiance to Britain or flee to Louisiana permanently. Most stayed. They became British subjects, but maintained French language, Catholic faith, legal traditions. Their resistance was cultural, not military. They survived by adapting outwardly while preserving identity inwardly. Conquest changed flags. It didn't erase memory or culture. The 7 Years' War cost Britain £140 million, a staggering sum for the era. To recoup expenses, Parliament taxed American colonies heavily. Stamp Act, Townshend Acts, Tea Act. Colonials who fought at Quebec remembered they bled for empire. Now, empire demanded payment. Resentment festered. No taxation without representation, echoed from Boston to Charleston. Revolution brewed. Imagine you're a Massachusetts militiaman who scaled Quebec's cliffs. You return home, tend your farm, raise your family. 15 years later, British soldiers occupy Boston. Parliament demands taxes. You remember facing French regulars, standing firm, tasting victory. Why should you fear redcoats now? You've beaten Europe's finest. You can do it again. Memory emboldens rebellion powerfully. The strategic lesson of Quebec. Logistics matter more than heroics ultimately. British ships controlled the St. Lawrence. British supply lines remained intact. French reinforcements never arrived. Wolfe's cliff climb was daring, but ships won the campaign. Yet we remember the dramatic assault, not the mundane blockade. History loves spectacle over substance. Victory requires infrastructure, not just courage. Quebec's capture demonstrated European warfare's evolution. Massed volleys, bayonet charges, artillery support. These tactics dominated European battlefields for another century. But in North America's forests, irregular warfare ambushes, raids, skirmishes remained crucial. Quebec was an anomaly, European-style battle on North American soil. Most combat looked different. Context matters. Quebec was the exception, proving the rule. By 1763, Britain possessed the largest empire since Rome. Quebec's capture was the cornerstone. From India to Caribbean to North America, British flags flew. The sun never set on British territory. George III's subjects numbered millions across continents. Power seemed permanent, unshakable. Yet within 20 years, 13 American colonies would declare independence. Empires are fragile. Remember that always. September 13th, 1759, the date most Americans don't know but should. Without Quebec's fall, no British North America. Without British North America, no unified colonies to rebel. Without colonial rebellion, no United States. History's chain links backward. Your existence traces to that cliff, that morning, those desperate soldiers ascending stone. Both commanders died pursuing glory. Wolfe got his wish, immortality in death. Montcalm died defending a doomed empire. Were their deaths meaningful? Ask their widows. Ask the soldiers crippled in battle. Ask habitants whose farms burned. Glory looks different from ground level. Heroes pay prices. So do those who never chose war. Remember them too. Today, Quebec City remains, stone walls intact. Tourists walk the plains of Abraham, now a peaceful park. Plaques commemorate the battle. Wolfe and Montcalm share memorials former enemies frozen in bronze, reconciled by time. But French and English Canada still negotiate identity, language, sovereignty. Quebec's capture echoes through centuries. Some wounds never fully heal. The American colonials who fought at Quebec couldn't imagine their grandchildren would fight Britain. The British officers who led them couldn't imagine empire's dissolution. The French defenders couldn't imagine their culture surviving conquest. Nobody predicted the future accurately. History surprises everyone. Outcomes emerge from chaos. We narrate backwards, pretending inevitability. Nothing was inevitable. Everything was contingent. Consider the what-ifs seriously. What if sentries detected the climbers? What if Montcalm waited for reinforcements? What if Wolfe died before reaching Quebec? Each changes everything. French Canada might still exist. American colonies might have remained British longer. Native peoples might have preserved autonomy. History pivots on moments. Quebec was one such moment. Fragile, unpredictable, consequential. The 7 Years' War was the first true world war in human history. Battles raged across Europe, North America, India, Philippines, West Africa. Naval engagements spanned oceans. Quebec was just one theater, yet it determined North American fate for centuries. Global wars produce continental consequences. That morning in September reached far beyond one city, one river, one country. Everything connected. We end with an uncomfortable truth. Quebec's capture was simultaneously liberation and conquest. For British Empire, glorious victory. For French Empire, devastating defeat. For American colonials, empowering lesson. For French Canadians, subjugation. For Native peoples, catastrophe. Same event, multiple meanings. History has no single interpretation. Winners and losers tell different stories. Both are true. September 13th, 1759. Dawn breaks, soldiers climb, empires collide. By noon, the world has changed, though nobody yet understands how completely. History will call it the battle that birthed North America. Those who climbed the cliff just wanted to survive the morning. Sometimes, ordinary courage produces extraordinary consequences. That's how empires fall. That's how nations rise.